We are pleased to welcome you to the DAR Fundraiser. This is not only an opportunity to enjoy the company of supporters of American history, but also a chance to contribute to a cause that ensures the legacy of our ancestors is honored and their sacrifices remembered. Thank you for joining us and for your unwavering support. Let us enjoy this fantastic event, knowing that we are all part of a collective effort to honor the past and build a brighter future. The first American Revolutionary soldier we're honoring today is Major Joseph Howe. Major Joseph Howe was not the founder of the Howe family in America. Although according to a legend told through the generations, he ran away from his home in England to join his brother, Lord George Augustus Howe, who was one of the English officers fighting in the French Indian War. However, he may have reached the Virginia frontier as early as 1749. We do know that he built a cabin he called Sunnyside in 1758. Joseph Howe had some famous relatives, like Brigadier General William Howe. If you remember correctly, he led the British against the Americans in the Revolution. He also had some famous friends like George Washington, who gave him a sword as a thank you for his service in the French Indian War. Unfortunately, his descendants melted it down for a silver cup. I'm sure they didn't realize that George Washington gave it to him. We have a very interesting connection with Joseph Howe. My husband and I were married at the oldest inn in the country, the Wayside Inn. Unbeknownst to us at the time, a Howe was the original innkeeper. Indeed, Joseph came to Boston when he first arrived in America, and his relative initiated his journey to the world. Although we mention he was the first of his family to arrive in America, it actually was his great-great-uncle, John Howe, who arrived in Sudbury, Massachusetts in 1661. Our next American hero is James Mayo Hoge. James Mayo grew up in Frederick County, Virginia, about 75 miles west of Washington, D.C. The adventurous James, Jr., as he's often called, decided to search for his brother John, who was fighting in the French Indian War. Although they thought John died in the battle, which became known as Braddock's defeat, it turned out that he was captured by the French and taken to France as a prisoner of war. He was held captive at Cognac Castle. Although he failed to find his brother, James Mayo met his true love, Joseph Howe's daughter, Elizabeth. The house that James Mayo grew up in was thought to be built by the Heist family during the Civil War. But when they recently renovated it, they discovered that it was much older. It was actually built by James Hoge Sr., James Mayo's dad. It was built in 1742. The house is now preserved as part of the battlefield of Cedar Creek from the Civil War, fought October 19, 1864. In June of 1775, James Mayo enlisted as a Revolutionary War soldier 2 months after the war began in Lexington. He served under Captain Hendrick's company, which fought in the Battle of Quebec. After a grueling expedition to the city, it was on a freezing cold day in December under snowfall when they all entered Quebec. Although they attempted to surprise the enemy, the British were ready for the Patriots. Approximately 400 soldiers were captured. Those who were second-generation Americans were taken prisoner, while the others were forced to serve in the British Army. After surviving terrible conditions for a year, once the Declaration of Independence was signed, James Mayo and the others were released from prison to return to his home, known as Hayfield. The third patriot we're going to talk about today is Daniel Howe. Daniel Howe was only 9 years old when he first experienced the harshness of the frontier. His father, Joseph, emphasized virtue and duty. As he grew into manhood on his father's property called Sunnyside, A mental toughness ensued. At the young age of 18, he enlisted in the Continental Army in the Montgomery County Militia. It was 1776. His role was to arrest any known Tories that were a threat to the Revolution. Nancy Haven grew up in the New River Valley as the youngest daughter of Howard and Ruth Haven. It was during the American Revolution, when Captain Howe was protecting the valley, he was ordered to arrest Howard Haven, a Tory sympathizer. Haven already eluded him twice. Daniel will not have it happen a third time. Upon arriving at the gate of the Haven property, a young girl with black curly locks and smiling brown eyes introduced herself as Nancy Haven. She welcomed him onto the property to search for her father, knowing he was nowhere around. After his diligent search, Nancy invited him to dinner, which he accepted. The young girl captured his heart, and he did not leave empty-handed. He left with love in his heart. Sometime after the war, they wed. Daniel did not face battles in the early years of his service in the American Revolution. However, he participated in what is called the war's largest all-American fight, the Battle of Kings Mountain. Only lasting 65 minutes, it was a turning point in the Revolution. It undermined the British strategy in the South, and it became difficult for them to recruit American loyalists to fight against the Patriots. In the last year of active service, Daniel Howe participated in General Greene's Gulffords campaign in March 1781. Later that year, the war ended, allowing Daniel return to his home, Sunnyside. The three American Revolutionary soldiers, Joseph Howe, James Mayo Hoge, and Daniel Howe, are all buried in the family cemetery called Sunnyside. Today, we would like to honor those heroes. Let us remember the words of President Theodore Roosevelt. The more you know about the past, the better prepared you are for the future. Together, we can ensure that the lessons of history continue to inspire and guide us. The books that are available are Sleeping in the Valley, The Story of the Lives of the People Buried in the Family Cemetery, The Diary, which is Governor James Hoge Tyler's diary, and Thoughts on This and That, which is a journal on inspirational quotes and beautiful pictures. If you'd like more information, go to bellehampton.com. And please join our mailing list to learn more about local history and family legacy. Thank you.